the last but one line, which says that I will be able to learn the best tasteful delicacies and then do studies in nutrition. I want to see if anybody can guess it. Okay, Matilda says that the passion is cooking. Good. And the purpose is owning a culinary school and helping others. Very good. What about the potential? What would it mean if this person got a scholarship? What idea can you see will be forming if, let's say, I mean, this was just a part of the essay that I wrote, but what outcome do you think will be if we gave her £40,000 plus scholarship to the UK? What do you think she can do with that once she has a certificate? What do you think she could possibly do if you were the one writing her essay for her, or you know, you just seen this part of her essay, but what can you think? Papa Kwame is saying that she can scale up her work. Yes. So you see how she's cooking for 2,000 children in 2 years. I mean, that if you give her the scholarship, she can cook for almost, as the Nigerians would say, I don't know right now it is, I'm saying almost so much, but she can cook probably within a year, 1,000 children alone. Right. So that's the structure. This is all to say to give you an idea about the structure. So well done to you guys for participating, Matilda and Papa Kwame. Thank you guys so much. Now I have another example here. This one is a very long read. So I think maybe I will tone it down with the first part. So this one is my Shivning scholarship essay. If you can't really see it, don't worry. I have a link on the last slide to my seller page, and then a link to my Shivning scholarship is completely free. Don't worry, you won't pay any money for it. You just need to enter your email address so that you can be added to the newsletter. Once in a long while when I post, you will see a newsletter to encourage you on your application journey. But this essay was the leadership essay, so you see a lot of leadership stuff in there. But let's focus on the one that is over here. Why do you want to study your chosen course at the University of Sheffield? I also got into this program as well. And for those who are looking for scholarship, this one's a good one. It's called the Africa Scholarship at the University of Sheffield. So they will sponsor, I think, 2 people or 1 person to do some of these international development courses. I got the same year I got the Chevening, so I just picked the Chevening, but this is for people to know. So see how I answered it, because this one is shorter, 200 words. Let's focus on that one. Then you can go later to go and look at the slides, which I'll gladly give to the team, and you can come back to it, or you can go to the seller page and see the clearer version of it there. Says that pursuing MSc Environmental Change and Environmental International Development at the University of Sheffield is the most ideal for my career development because its membership in the Russell Group Universities, a prestigious network of research-intensive and world-class universities, speaks to a quality academic experience. To begin with, so this is another fancy way of saying first of all, or number one. This course addresses challenges developing countries face concerning realizing environmental sustainability in the spheres of economics, research, and policy. Particularly, or you can say specifically, or more, additionally, or more so, or moreover, I am interested in the opportunity to learn sanitation management practices being conducted in developed countries, such as the UK's approach. And with a field trip to Tanzania and Nepal, appreciate sanitation management in developing countries to gain an international development perspective. So what am I talking about with the trip? So the program, I went to look into the program structure, and I saw that this program, that's why I really wanted to go for this program. But they canceled it, so it even made my choice easier because of COVID. So always look at the program structure and then try and pick certain things like the modules. Is there a field trip? Is there practical training? Some of these UK programs that you apply for, sometimes the programs, they even have internships, apprenticeships in there, or certifications. So like if you do that program, maybe you get a certification from a chartered body institute. Talk about it in the essay, So course components such as professional skills for development and theory debates in food security and food justice will shape my understanding on the significance of the political influence further, which is bad English, by the way. The further shouldn't be there. As well as the course components shall provide the opportunity for me to utilize tools of political dynamics, such as environmental law and policies. to achieve the green economy I want to see blossom in my country. You see what I did there? I put a punchline in there. I don't know if you guys got to blossom, green, environment. Yeah. So lastly, as a field engineer who appreciates pragmatism, okay, I use lastly, as a field engineer who appreciates pragmatism, I am thrilled to discover the hands-on emphasis for this program with regards to placements within an organization to further practicalize the classroom lesson. So there was like a lot of field work involved in this program. So I'm talking about all the reasons why they should pick me to study this program. And I'm breaking down the things in there that appeal to me and my experiences. Do you get it? So I'm connecting to things that I like, things I know. So I'm saying I'm a field engineer. I mean, what I know is I will go to the field. So me, I really like the part where we'll be going to field. That's basically what I said at the end. So always make sure you connect the things about the scholarship or in your SOP. This was just one part of the application, to your experiences, because the experiences make you unique. Nobody can copy that. That's why I also don't really like people saying that, oh, they want to dab somebody's SOP. I'm like, but you didn't have the experiences that they had. You reduce your chances when you do stuff like that, actually, because they can actually see through stuff like that. Do not use AI, as to the point that I'm coming to. You can use AI to help you brainstorm the beginning or give you a structure, like an outline. So ChatGPT, should I bring this as my opening or this as my middle part? But don't use it to try and help you to draft something and then try and change it. Yeah, that's not a good idea. Okay, so if you need to edit your SOP after you're done, give it to somebody to read through. I really advocate for that. Give it to 2 or 3 people that you trust. Don't give it to just anybody. Give it to 2 or 3 people that you trust to read through for you. Yeah. There's so much on SOPs. I hope that I've attempted to do it justice because I've talked about the salient points. There are other things like STAR method. The STAR method, you can see it in the Shimlin essay. So maybe I'll probably go through that with one example and then we'll move on to the references. So those of you who've never heard of STAR method, those of you who know about STAR method, can you put it in the chat what it is? What is STAR method? If you go on my Seller 2, I have a free video that I did with ALX talking about communicating effectively. And I talk about public speaking and also writing. And I talk about using STAR method in writing and public speaking as well. So you can watch that video. It's quite long, but it's very good. Yeah. If you don't have that time, you can always Google what STAR method is and then get like very good example. So Roger, thank you so much. Roger says that it's situation, task, and action and result. Very good. So STAR method is situation, task, and action and results. So STAR method, some parts of the world, they also have CAR method, which is the same thing, which is like the condition, the action, and then your reaction. The last part, the reaction, you can say reaction/reflection or result/reflection. Okay. I think the reflection part is important. Okay. So the situation is where you describe the problem. And then the task is you talk about what you were assigned to do. Then the action is what you did, what you did in that particular situation. And the result was what was the outcome. You should usually use numbers in this point, measurable outcomes. And the reflection is the further step. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at an example of that. The second paragraph over here. Yes, in the Shimlin essay. So it says in high school, I was a prefect, senior prefect. So that's the situation. In high school, I was a senior prefect. Okay. I led a fun monthly cleanup activity. So that's the task. As a leader, I was leading cleanup activity. What was the action? We'll see very soon. That increased student engagement by over 80%. So that's a number right there. Sometimes numbers can be dates. Sometimes numbers can be money. It can be percentages. Yeah. It can be numbers of people you've led or you've saved. if you're a savior. Maybe like, you worked on a project that you impacted maybe families or something like that. Yeah. Not that, yeah. So the success of this led me to be made the head of a fundraising committee. Okay. So I've talked about something happening and then this leading me to another point. I really love stories like this because it shows flow. Yeah. So it says I'm now a head of a fundraising committee. So another situation. I was to lead a team of 12 students to raise an amount of 20,000 Ghana cedis for a school project. So that's what a task I've been given. Lead these people, Nanaya, raise this money. So measurable outcomes. I'm leading 12 people. What I would have changed, maybe I would have added a time period. Maybe is it within 2 months? So I was to lead a people of 2 months, within a period of 2 months to raise this, amount of money. Always try and be specific as much as possible. I even 6 people, 3 people, 15 people, 20 people put it there makes a difference. Over what time period? 2 months, 2 weeks, 6 months, put it there. Okay, so I've talked about the situation, I've talked about the tax. What's the action? We tried and we failed miserably and raised only 800, raised a paltry 800 Ghana cedis. Okay, we failed largely due to my inability, because I'm the leader, to collaborate and communicate effectively as well as delegate appropriately. Okay, so we failed, and the outcome, what was the outcome? So it's not always that, I see a lot of people writing stamina and it's like, oh, I saved the world, I did this, I rescued a family, I did a malaria intervention. Those ones are good, but sometimes also add your failure stories. But if you add a failure story, do what I did here. Make it a reflection. So when I talked about the action that happened, we failed, and then the result was what? Instead of raising the to 20,000, we raised 800. I did a reflection. Says that this bitter experience became the catalyst to help me cultivate the actions, attitude, and skills that influence human behavior. That means I became more intentional about fixing these weaknesses I identified, about how to communicate well, about how to collaborate effectively, about how to delegate as a leader. I took to intensive reading, intentional personal development activities in order to improve my leadership capacity and influence. So that's the what's it called? What's the word? The reflection and then the outcome. Then I linked it that by 2014, when I entered in school again, I started to pick another leadership, role. I'm not going to go into that. You can see the secretary role. Similar team members were doing different outcomes. And this time, we were successful. Also raising money for projects. We were successful. Okay. I went on to do more things to raise more money. Successful. So all of these things, okay, like I see people writing star method, like, bam, 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 like make it flow, like let the reflections show an outcome that links to things you leveraged on. I think that's one good way to do star, because some people, but if you really can't do this, just write this like how, you write the, what is it called? The normal situation, action, and results. Yeah. But there's one way to go about it. Okay, so now let's go on. We spent a lot of time on this. So now let's come to references. I have 4 points or comments for you under references. References. First of all, make sure you build a relationship with your referees. I should write written referees. I don't know why I wrote references. References is when you put them in your application, but the people referring you are your referees. This is bad English. Don't copy it. They are your referees, especially the academic ones. And I find so many people complaining that, oh, they don't know me, they don't, if you're still in school right now, be useful to them. That's how you can have them. Some of them will still probably suck. When I say suck, as in like they will still not give you what you want. But one way to circumnavigate is the TAs, yeah, or to put yourself in a leadership position like class rep, to be indispensable, yeah, it makes it easier. or have good grades so that the lecturers will fight over you to have you as their TA. That's also another good way to go. But basically, have all of this way of being useful or build a relationship, solid relationship, because you, whether you come go up or come down, you will need them for references. There's no way I want to get to an arbitrary school unless the school or the scholarship is quite questionable. I mean, there are some scholarships out there like that. They don't really ask for that. Even Chevening asks for references. Granted, it's not academic ones. You can all be professional ones, but still, you need some academic references from your lecturers and supervisors and your teachers for your school. Um, that's your UK school program. So find a way to be useful to them. I mentioned some examples earlier: joining projects, research projects, being on a research team, and let them know upfront. Because they are busy people, and sometimes they won't remember you. That's okay. I'll need a reference from you if I want to help you to do this, or do you have any projects you are working on and I would like to contribute anyway? And then they say, hey, why are you interested? And you don't say, oh, sir, I just want to help. Just tell them that, sir, please, I just want you to be able to write me a good recommendation. And sometimes you say that if that's the case, then you don't need to do all of this help. And you can tell them that, oh, I also want the experience for my CV or something like that. Or if they tell you and you're like, oh, then I don't really need to do all that ask like, and then you can just, if you're not really interested in the lab work, yeah, you can help him to free him so that he can also find a good or interested candidate for the position. Just be honest and upfront. I find like a lot of times, sometimes, a lot of Ghanaians in general are not really honest with our true intentions. So it's like becomes a problem down the line. But if you let your supervisor know, they are not, most of them are not that wicked. It's just a few bad nuts that have given the rest of the lab a bad name. But most of them are very nice, just very busy. So make sure you give them the benefit of the doubt and also reach out to them early. You are not princess of, Ghana that's or prince of Ghana that's you feel like you can give them 1 week notice before a deadline and you expect them to submit. You'll be playing with fire. Anyway, let them know before you use them as references. I saw a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago, I think 2 or 1 week ago. The girl was like, she applied some time back for an application. She didn't let them know. And they were like, there's no way in heaven or hell we're gonna, endorse this application for you. Sometimes when you do the applications, they don't even ask you to bring a letter. They ask you to submit the person's email, then they send an automated reference request or referee request to them directly. So, yeah. So they need them to fill the forms and all of that. So, yeah, make sure you let them know. And this is easier when you have a good relationship with them, as I said. Hmm. Some of you are listening, but it's like, I'm not listening. I don't want you to cry later on. Anyway, and if they can, they should use organizational emails because it gives more credibility to the email address. We talked about the scam issue and the verification issue earlier, so I won't go into that. Sometimes they are so busy that you need to help them halfway, as in like drafting an outline for them to use to help yourself. So the features typically in this is like these reference letters that they can submit on your behalf or something like that. If they are not, what's it called? If they are not these automated forms, some of them are like that. A lot of the US schools nowadays, that's what they do. But some UK schools, they still like to do the European schools, they still like that you do a letter with the whole typed out and signed and stamped thing going on. I'll give you an example very soon. I like to be very practical. So, yeah. So you have features usually let them do it on a letter with a header and an organizational email, and then mention in the letter how they know you specifically, what courses they've taught you, for how long, and what they think of you, you know, and then maybe talk about a project or two that you worked on from with a very bold statement of endorsement. I'll show you an example of this with a signature and then their position in the department or university or program or whatever. So this is an example. So we have the header at the top, we have the postal address, his TA did this. So at the time he used his normal Gmail, but later I saw it and I went back for the proper email address, the school one, which I can't find for some reason in my email. But yeah, you should have the organizational email there, the phone numbers, because sometimes they will call. Trust me, they will call some of these review panels, especially when if you're a very top candidate. Um, the dates, all of that stuff, letter of recommendation, the person's name. So you can see it says this is a statement of endorsements. You see right there. I wish to recommend, get straight to the point. What is the program? The program name should be there. For which academic year should be there. How does this person know me? It says that they were my undergraduate lecturer for 4 years, where at the University of Energy, where I did my undergrad studies in so and so studies. He taught me, you see, the modules that he taught me, hydrology and hydraulics. If I had to go back, I would have probably made them add the course credit hours, yeah, in brackets by each module to show how intensive this was. Then I actually drafted this letter for the TA because the TA was a very, laid back guy. Like, just bring it and let me just put on a header for you so it can't go your way. And he had the lecturer sign it for me. Very nice man. So she excelled in these courses and was part of the top. Remember, use percentages. Top 5% of the students in her class. Even if this my class, we are 40 people. So if they say 5%, calculate 5% of 40 people. So juicy. But putting it there makes it look very, like I said, yeah, 200 B and 500 B. So shows that I can creme of creme. Remember that thing I told you about on the series two as well. Her interest in community organic waste composting in solid waste process technologies led her to present, so I'm talking about some of the projects that we worked on, blah 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 blah. Then where I was currently, I was doing national service at the time and I was working with them as a TA, but I was not even working with him. I was not working with I was working with another lecturer but in the same department. So yeah. And then, yeah, so it says, last statement, I therefore strongly recommend her without any reservation for you to admit her. Always try and get this statement from them. The last one, the first and the last one is very important, if possible, for financial support, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so there was another one that I had. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it's not showing. I think it's corrupted. I don't know. Let me see if I can. Oh, there's something wrong. It's corrupted. Okay, now it's showing. Let me see if I can. So this was another example. Yeah, showing now. So this one was also for the Princeton program. This one is like those ones where so I brought this example. Now I remember why I brought this example. I brought this example to show you people how to talk to your lecturers. I had a colleague friend lecture time that some of these students they don't know how to talk to people. The students they don't know how to talk to us. And he's a young lecturer, so he's a colleague friend. He was like, Nana, you do these whatever programs. That's what he said. But what I think what he meant is like these scholarship education programs. And he was very emphatic. I show you guys how to talk to them in emails and WhatsApp chats. So this is an example of that. So request for recommendation, Preston Africa program. I don't even know why I canceled it, but I think I just wanted to protect the email, so I just went a bit far. But greetings, Doctor or Professor so and so. Thank you for your recommendation for the Stanford program. Always thank them where they've helped you in the past. Even if they've not helped you, thank them for something for the day. I learned this from some training program B I was doing during COVID or something like that. One of those times, it was one of these McKinsey forward. They are like sandwich compliments or something like that. Like if you want something from someone, always thank them or give them like a compliment. Then you bring in your request or criticism. Then you end with a thank you or whatever. Yeah, so that's what I did. So thank you for your recommendation for Stanford. I would like to once more request for a recommendation. I would appreciate a recommendation letter from you for the Princeton program. Please find details of the program here. Link, that works. Put a link, that works. I'm applying for the Nexus track. The conditions are laid out here with submission. Always add the dates. I've attached a draft recommendation letter already designed. You see, I've made his work easy for him. Were you to sign it and return it back by this email, I believe I'll be able to fill out the recommendation form which is here on your behalf and submit it. I've done his work for him. So what he needs to do is like, if he doesn't want to look at the program details and those things that he's not interested, all he has to do is look at the draft and then sign it and then bring it back to me. Like, do you get? Always give them like an easy way out because they are busy lecturers. So, Ghanaian lecturers are like really overwhelmed. So like make sure you try to make their work easy by doing some of these things. You see how I highlighted that part in black? That's the part that you should be focusing on. And that I really needed by October 26th. And you see, I was also being one of those people that to the days that I sent it, Friday, October 25th. And I didn't it by October 25th. I don't know why I waited that long, but anyway, to God be the glory. So yeah, and I ended with a thank you then and a sign off. And then I also called him that day to also follow up and all of that. If you have a TA, then you reach out to the TA as well. Depending on how your relationship with the lecturer is like. But this is something I just wanted to show you guys. Yeah. Don't worry if you can't take a screenshot. We would really I would really give the links to the team and they can make it available to you. Just make sure you don't dab, no plagiarism, especially with the reference letter there. I don't think it's a problem, but the SOP, they have really advanced programs nowadays. And I learned some of these universities, they share the database of the SOPs. So make sure you don't do anything that will get you into trouble and you come and share tears of regret. Okay, so I think at this juncture, I'll also pause and let us soak in the SOPs, the references, and then also we don't have musical interlude, but we use the opportunity to answer any questions that we have.
So, those of us on Facebook too, you can also write your questions in the comment section. We are live on Facebook, so if you have any questions there, just let us know. Patrick is asking, can you apply for scholarship when you have not received your admission letter from the university?
Wow, that's
Uh,
a very good question. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
I think that I think he should watch the session that we did last week because
Oh, yeah.
Lois talked extensively about the different types of scholarships that we have. But if you want to answer too, you can also add some bits to it.
Yeah, maybe you should watch the video, but maybe I'll add that it depends on the scholarship. Just follow the instructions. Some of them will say that you can't apply until you've received an admission offer from the program that you want. You know, there's this one B. It's for several schools, and for that one, you always have to make sure you have the application letter. It's in Loughborough University, University of Leeds as well, University of Sheffield. But you always have to make sure like you get a good example cry is the World Bank
Mm,
scholarship. Even though it's across several schools, they always tell you that the school has to give you an acceptance into the program, and then the school has to endorse you for them to for you to apply. If the school
mm,
doesn't endorse you, you won't even get the link. There's a link that you're supposed to get to apply. So yes, it depends. Some schools they don't really care,
mhm,
but you don't really want to have a situation where some scholarships they don't really care, like Shivling scholarship like this. They'll tell you that if you go for the interview, they'll tell you that do you have schools that you've been accepted to. If you say no, they'll look at you with eyebrows raised because the timeline between the interview opportunity and the time that they give the interview and the time that they give you the offer is like 1.5 months. So they just recently ended all the children's scholarship interview. So May next month is June. By June 15th, they will announce those who got the scholarship. And you don't want a situation where you have children's scholarship, you don't have any school giving you unconditional offer. I've actually heard a wild story like somebody like that. I was like, what was that person doing all of these months? You know, UK schools are normally by 3 weeks, at least you get some feedback whether you're in the program or not. So try and make sure that you have the the offer with the school. And
Okay.
how you do that is that you usually make sure that if you are going for this scholarship, look at the requirements. Because sometimes it'll be like you can apply to this program for this scholarship. So then you apply to the program, and then when you get the outcome, you submit it for the scholarship. Sometimes you can do it concurrently. So you apply
Mhm.
to both of them at the same time.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
and I
that's
think
also, yeah. So it depends. So Patrick, yeah.
and
How,
also
yeah.
if for I can speak on Erasmus Mundus too. For the
Okay.
Erasmus Mundus, it's like scholarship and admissions together. So if you apply to the scholarship, you automatically get you're applying to the school it's or the university itself. So I think it's all depends. And I'd advise that you go and watch the session that Dr. Lois had last week. She spoke extensively on the different kinds of scholarships and yeah. Pearl Dante is asking, my question is, my lecturer that has not taught me before decided to give me a letter of recommendation. So how would I be able to say he has taught me this particular course when he was just a lecturer in my department?
Okay. Um, hmm. He was in the department. That's where you can start from. Um, so even if he didn't teach, maybe there's a program or project that you worked on together. Okay. So be honest, but I'll say don't dwell on that in the recommendation letter, Pearl. So if let's say this is an engineering department, but they didn't teach you, you know, you can talk about projects that let's say you as a student, maybe they've hosted or they've done and you worked on at the it is the Bruhamon Energy Center, some projects that you have probably contributed to. Find a way to link them. In fact, because how did you know this lecture in the first place? Do you get it? Yeah, find a way. There's always a way to link them. Maybe there's something they've even done for the department. There's some money they brought into the school that maybe other lecturers in the research group are working on, and then it's somehow linked to a work that they made you guys go and do. I know University likes to do that. They like to use students for labor for some of the base work of some of these projects. So you can say that maybe he knew you through you working on that project and you were outstanding or something like that. Yeah. So just find a way. Maybe if it was observation of wee hydrological what something for the wee river or something. Like find a way. Usually look at the projects that they've done. Yeah. So I hope that helps.
And finally, last question before you continue. Um, Richard Garma says, concerning this, that's the last two questions that's the person asked. What's the possibility of getting the Commonwealth Shared Scholarship when the school you've applied to have offered you admissions already? Can you speak on the Commonwealth Scholarship? For Commonwealth, we have a video on that on our YouTube page, so you can also check that out. Commonwealth Shared Scholarship, we've talked about it in our previous session, so you can check it out. But if you can speak on it too, that will be fine.
Honestly, I applied for Commonwealth. I don't know if I applied for shared. I can't remember which ones I applied for, but I didn't get too far, honestly. I think I applied for the one where you are endorsed by the agency because there was this one agency I was looking forward to. FAWE, something African Women Educationalist. But they had, a lot of females, so yeah. But I think Commonwealth, I know it's quite competitive, first of all.
Mhm.
Secondly, I don't know what the numbers for Commonwealth are, so I can't tell. But I see Lois has just put the link there. You usually have to wait a while, yes, to see if the school picked you. Yes, where you've reached the stage that you've reached, you just have to, even if you've got the opportunity for admission, you just have to wait to see if Commonwealth will pick you. What I usually tell people is that why you can find another scholarship at this, concurrently for this same program that you've applied to. We can be funded by another scholarship body. Yeah, so the example that I was trying to remember is the Alan Nestor Ferguson scholarship. So for that one like this, it's a scholarship in the UK for several programs, specific programs across several UK schools. So you can check to see, for example, the Alamnesta one, if it's maybe sponsoring the scholarship at this particular school for the particular program, and if it's still open, you apply. Like check and see, or Mastercard or some of these other ones. Yeah. So you shoot your shot with multiple scholarships for that particular program. So if let's say Commonwealth doesn't come through, at least maybe you get another scholarship funding from elsewhere. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Let's move on and then we'll come back for more questions. So let's go back. So we have English language tests. ELTs are honestly not my favorite thing because I did not like them. I still do not like them. I feel like this is a personal FYI disclaimer. This is a personal opinion, but I feel like they're just means of extortion from like African students who already like short on bank. Like when I say bank, I mean money or financial resources. Because most of these African countries can speak English, and you'll be shocked as a student. You get some of these countries crying. You even speak better English than they cry, especially in the UK. It's very interesting. So, or even here in the Netherlands, I've met people who speak, but I mean, here there's an excuse because English is not their first language, it's Dutch. So, anyway, so I have written here that nowadays some programs and schools, they are constantly updating their ELT requirements. What do I mean by this? For example, Shilling, before the COVID, they used to collect IELTS, but after COVID, they haven't. And it took the UK government just last year to bring back IELTS for some of the visa requirements, but it wasn't a thing at first. So yeah, so always check. I always say that if you can avoid it because it's an extra cost that once you get into the country, you realize that you won't use it for anything. Not like some of these certifications that you can use for something else later down the line, like PMP certification or something like that. That's what irritates me about ELT certifications. But well, um, sometimes nowadays there are lots of waivers. If you go for some of these school application webinars online, they give free waivers that you can use in your applications. I mean, to drive home the point, this even applies to extents to some people applying to some schools and wanting uh the application fees. Sometimes email the schools, they'll give you waivers or something. Sometimes they'll say no, and then you have to make the hard choice like, do I really want to go to this school? Do I really believe I can get a scholarship for this school? I had to make a choice like that. I really wanted to go to LSE, but I saw 80 euros, sorry, 80 pounds at that time. And I was like, me, and I, yeah, that's about earning 1,000 cedis. I was like, me, I was like, then LSE, minimum to acquire Yapai for the international audience. It means that at this juncture, we'll take different roles or interests. So I didn't apply to LSE anymore. I had actually finished everything. LSE was my dream school, and I switched it to Leeds. Yes, and other options, and I picked Leeds at the end of the day. And looking back now, sometimes I see some of my friends that went to LSE. There was a reason I wanted to go to LSE, and then I'm like, did I make the right choice? But really, you have to ask yourself because I've seen somebody's LinkedIn post too, and LinkedIn and they're like, oh, this year I really believe that I'll get shifted. I went to go and pay for 3 schools applications. And there's a lot of money. So yeah, these are all things you have to consider. Um, Nevertheless, so check and prepare adequately, especially if you want to write ELTs, because they have different times that they write them and they have different nuances. So when I say nuances, IELTS like this, I learned that they have like different types of IELTS. A colleague was telling me that they wrote the wrong one. Can you imagine? What a shock. So make sure you write the correct one. Hmm. Double check and triple check and always ask before you commit. Because I learned that now IELTS is like 3,000 cities and it's written twice a month. So make sure you check your school applications if they need it. Sometimes they say conditional admission. Conditional admission is that if you don't fulfill these requirements, including getting maybe a certain IELTS grade points, we won't accept you. if the longer time that you have from the time that you get admission to the time that you have to report to school, if it's 6 months or 4 months, if you write IELTS as the first time and you don't really get the points, you can rewrite. There's another time for you to try and rewrite again and get that point so that you can meet all the conditions of the school or the program and then get the scholarship. So these are things that are in there. But honestly, I'm always like, there's so many options available. Okay, so try and avoid this if you can. Unless you really, really want to get into this school and this program, and it's a big make or break deal for you. Yeah. But really, big shout out to some of these Nigerian students that are really making a point. I see that this one guy on LinkedIn is really pushing and emailing a lot of the schools across the world to drop these like high standards that they have for some of us African students to write some of these English language. And for me, the thing was I really saw the kind of hypocrisy, if I should say, of it all. When it's like COVID came and it's like it became okay to use Duolingo or they even scrapped it altogether. And I'm like, so you could have done this all this while. So now, is it that the COVID has wiped away the ability for us to speak English? It's like it was so weird. It was like, is it that the COVID has now made us be able to speak English, or it's like I didn't get it. It's like they were saying, okay, when you come, you can join pre-mandatory English speaking classes. It was nothing like that. It's just like just come. You got the admission to come, but then COVID returns and it's like now they brought back IELTS because now suddenly they don't believe in your English anymore. COVID is gone, so now they don't believe in your English anymore. I'm like, bro, it's the same English. So yeah, I really think if you can't fight the system, try and just find another school that's more accepting. Usually that's the school that you even want to be in anyway, trust me. Because they pay attention more to their international students. It's little things like that. You'll be surprised. You think that, hey, it's the schools here will more difference. Yes, there are schools with difference. There are schools that, by some of their programs and things that they have for international students, you can see that they're accommodating to the international students, but they have certain policies that help the international students to thrive. Yeah, so just think about some of these things. Yeah. I watched a really interesting vlog by one Nigerian girl who was in a US school, one of these remote US colleges, and she had a very bad experience as an international student in the school because of some undergrad students being her apartments she was sharing with, and how the student association took her side and then ostracized her. She had no choice but to leave the school. So think about some of these things. And it was later that she realized that she was actually even one of the very few, in her words. I remember watching her vlog and she was like, in her words, she should have even know something was wrong because there were very few blacks, there were very few Indians, there were very few like international students in general in the school. It was like highly white, highly, you want to go to schools where they are very diverse because it helps your experience. Trust me, it does. When you're in class with people from different parts of the world, they're networking, even understanding the course in the program because you hear experiences and examples from you don't even especially if you're not doing engineering, but if you're doing these liberal arts, you hear these examples and all of that, so and then they usually because of the diverse student, but they have like these large support systems for the diverse international students because they are paying attention to the international student. That's where you really want to be because trust me, you will need it. You really need it. You need those support systems. Let's come to the last point of the day, the big seven, number seven, extracurricular activities. So this one has to do with what you're passionate about and doing it well. So extracurricular activities, this has to do with what you're passionate about and then doing it well. And sometimes doing it so that you enjoy it. I'll give you an example as well. You can also do something you're good at repeatedly, okay, obviously. But what the review or the application team really cares about is the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing football instead of running? Why are you doing basketball instead of tennis? Why are you doing dancing instead of cooking? Why are you doing painting art? And I know this thing is not really explored in Ghana in general. Um, for me, I had the opportunity to, and a privilege, a very high privilege, which I later came to learn of by the grace of God and the insights of my parents. I went to a private school. So I was in this school where, we had counselors, and these counselors were trained to help us to apply to schools abroad and then, help us to do all of these things. So we were doing extracurricular from like class six. And the interesting thing was, it was an enjoyment thing. They didn't even let us know that we're doing it for, class, college applications till later on, and I think that was a really good thing because some of us explored and we did so much well in some of these things and all of that. So I really wish it was an option for a lot of the Ghanaian extracurricular. Hopefully it becomes something that um becomes a part of it as Ghana progresses. An interesting thing I found is that some of these things actually becomes career options for or became career options for like some of us. So like those are the baking and culinary arts, those are the carpentry. For me, for example, I was part of the people that were doing this STEM stuff. We were coding games and building automated water tanks for fish, like doing race course water tank for fish, like automated, like, stuff like that. And we were building this with like under the supervision of like intern students from Mayo Clinic and the rest. And we were just having fun, not knowing that it was like learning through fun. So we were able to really write some of the best essays and get in some of the best schools in abroad and all of that with scholarships and all of that. So it was a really good experience. And the reason why I think it was because we were just exploring what we connected with. And that's the main point of extracurricular activities. You know, connecting why you are doing what it is and how you are convinced that it can help you with your future work and main goals and future goals. I have like a repository from all those years ago, like some of the best essays, college essays, because when we started to learn how to write, like, we had to write for SATs and all of these things to go to arbitrary schools and all of that. Like, we had to write some of these things, all of that. But the point is that, like, you see that extracurricular activities are just always connected to, especially if you're going to go to a bachelor's school in the laboratory. When I say laboratory, my international audience, I mean like abroad or outside Ghana. So you want to connect these passions to your main work, your future missions and goals. If you are really a booky person, there was this book I read around that time. It was about how these review committees, they are called college admission entrance people. Um, there was this book I read. It talked about how the system was set up from their end. Is in my email. I'll look for the name again. I had a hard copy of it at home. I had my uncle buy it and I read it cover to cover so I could understand how these people think. These people that admit students into Stanford and all of these schools abroad. And I wrote my essays like that. So, and I got into some of these schools and all of that. I just didn't go. So some of these things, like, you have to talk about your why and then talk about it's connecting to your work, like something you're convinced about and your mission and your visions and goals. So this ties back to your SOP. And one thing I want to say is that, you know, we like to do this pity story thing. You're from Africa, you're poor. Don't try that angle, my brother, my sister, if you're listening to me over here. Don't try those things. Just use the angle of if you need to show that you've overcome challenges, there's a better way to do it. There's a better way to do it. You use your why to drive the story. I remember reading recently, this year or last year, one of the applications or a letter of SOP of one guy that got into Stanford. His mom is a single mother. They are like immigrants from outside America, and he got in. And his mom even used to leave him at home by himself for weeks because she had to travel elsewhere to work. The story he wrote was so beautiful. I'll try and look for it and add it to this one for you guys so that you guys can see. You may not be able to write to that level of quality of application, like um what do you call it? Level of quality. But the thing is, once you begin to read some of these things, you begin to get an idea of how to connect your why to your mission and your goals. And then even when you start to decide to write your own applications, like the conviction flows from the style that you choose to write from. And that's what communicates to the readers or the review people. Okay. Yeah. So that is what gives you an edge over the application, your experience and how you're able to connect it. So I think I gave an example here from another application. This is like one of those short questions. I have longer essay questions there, like the ones I did in to Stanford, but I I couldn't find them. That's the one I wanted to use, or the ones from my college undergraduates, but it's like the database is very, yeah, not well organized. So this is not the best example, basically what I'm saying, but this is what I can offer you to give you an understanding of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to read this section to you, and then we're going to break it down where I ask you just two questions about uh, this entry. So the question is, how would the scholarship benefit you and enhance your student experience? 150 words. What I like to do is that break down the question. It says, how would the scholarship benefit you? Nanaya Kranchwe. How would it enhance your student experience? Okay, I start. One too many times, I have been told to hold my head high. I've had to hold my head high. As the only female engineer in the room, I realized the importance of having more female engineers firsthand to contribute to unique perspectives sensitive to the clients we design and build for especially vulnerable communities. To change the status quo, I took the opportunity to mentor more females into STEM since 2017, successfully impacting close to 500 girls through active group mentorship, contributing celebratory online articles on exemplary African women in STEM, and one-on-one coaching on how to succeed in the engineering industry as a female rookie. This scholarship would enable me to inspire more girls to envision themselves where they want to be and work harder. Aside from the academic experience, this scholarship shall provide. I look forward to connecting with classmates and partners interested in supporting young women coming up after me to work in this light. So my first question I want to see in the chat is, what do you think is the extracurricular thing here? There, whatever it is that you think, yeah, what's the extracurricular? That's the first question I have for you guys. Put it in the chat. I want to see. Hey, people don't know what the extracurricular in this two paragraph pieces. Okay, Jessica is saying mentoring. Yeah, mentoring. Okay. Is that all? Do you guys agree? Or is it Jessica the only person left on this call? Hey, what a shock. Okay. Maybe we are all tired. The energy levels are low. Eh? We've been here for 2 hours, but we've done well. Okay. I'm seeing more responses. Kwajo is saying mentoring more females. And then Adjo is saying women mentorship and support. That's fantastic. So sometimes the extracurricular is not anything big. It can be sometimes you wanting to play football with some boys in your community because you want them to do the stop red. You want them to stop taking tramadol, and you're a medical doctor or a public health activist, and that's your way of doing activism, you see. So this is just to help you think about some of the things that you could do. I remember that young lady that we read, that fake young lady that did the culinary lady. She showed us that she does her own cooking for street people. That's one way to do it. For some reason, I have a QR code here that is not showing. I'm not even remembering what was here. Let me see if I go here and I come back. Will it come? Oh, Charlie, it's slow. If you do refresh, it'll come. So I am done at this juncture. I don't know if you have questions. I think I had a QR code to show you guys something. Yes, it's a gift for you guys. So, oh, and it's not coming. So there's this scholarship guide by QS. They've taken this off their page, but lucky for you guys, I always like to have a copy of everything in my own Google Drive. So I saved it before they removed it. I don't know why they did that, but they did that. So I took okay now. So you can scan it and it will take you to this free scholarship guide, QS scholarship guide. It's so big. It's having one of the largest databases of scholarship, and then it shows you how to. Let me see if I can type it here. Maybe we'll come QS scholarship. Okay, I will open it and then let me just use your your for right now, just use your phone to try and scan it, and then you can access it so that you can see this beautiful gifts for you. And yeah, we can take any final questions because I'm all energied out as well. Yes. If you have any questions, this opportunity, I mean, this is a time for you to, ask me, ask away, because you probably won't hear from me from a while. Like this place soon. I'm trying to find the actual link for it so that I can also have the team for you put it in the chat. It's almost 100 pages, you know. It's like one of the very best. So if people understood everything I said, wow, that's a nice one. Because I have a feedback from you guys. Yes, so that we see how well this session sank in.
Okay.
So if you don't have any questions, then that's good news. We thank God. It's either you're confused or you really understood what I said. Yes, so that's good. Okay, now we have a question, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can read it.
yes, please.
Okay. It's from Patrick.
Mhm.
Please, can you apply for scholarship in UK and go and get your admission or school in the States?
No, Patrick, it's very rare. Unless it's a global scholarship, you know, like the Gates scholarship, but even that one, they are tied to schools.
Mhm.
Gates scholarship like this, there are some in the UK and the US, or the Google scholarships. You know, they are still tied to schools. They will ask you in the application that where are you going to? So
Uh, there is another question. From No Name. Most scholarships seem to be focused on science-based fields. As a student with a background in arts and fashion, what is the best way for me to secure a scholarship for a master's or PhD program?
Emmanuel, there are actually a lot scholarships in arts and fashion. Maybe because of all the examples I use, that my bias, forgive me sincerely, in engineering, that's why. But even I think last month I saw this UK fully funded some low-key scholarship bill for creative writing in one UK university, and it was like full Nyanya scholarship. And I came to put it in the opportunities for us group, and nobody was, talking about it. I've seen some for arts. Look at this UK school. There's one for those into what's their name? It's a UCL London. They have some scholarship like that, you know, yeah, into arts and fashion. University of London. I think they also have. I think the University of London one is not the full one, but if you can scrape some money, and I mean, ideally you want a full scholarship, so something like Chevening like this. Chevening, you can apply and use Chevening to go, because Chevening will give you full scholarship, and Chevening is not restricted to only engineering people. Chevening will ideally pay for you to get into an art or fashion. I remember, this guy, you guys really like him. He was in YOLO. He's a Chevening scholar. What's his name? His real name is Chief. He was one of Cyril's friends, the character of Cyril in YOLO. I forget the YOLO people, their name. The guy, the gentleman. I even met him a couple of George. Yes, George. Yes, yes. I met him even the last time that he was in Ghana. Now he lives in the UK, but the last time that he was in Ghana, I met him. He's a Chevening scholar. And he has a arts background, theater arts from UCC, and he got Children's Scholarship. And even the masters he went to do in the UK, I think it has to do with brand communications, the arts field, something like that. In my own cohort too, if you know the famous Wendy Lai from TVT back in the day, similar arts, program she went to do. There are lots of, what do you call it? Shimling is one of the good ways to get full scholarship, but if you want to spread out your wings, look at UCL. There's one for African scholars, some arts thing that they have like that. And then University of London, like College of Arts or something. It's called something like that. They have like a partial or subsidized scholarship for some of those their arts and fashion programs. So yeah, they exist.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. They exist. You just really have to look well. You
Mm.
know, I remember talking to this chief guy about how he managed to convince the panel because I also told him that I suspect that the panel has a bias for, the Shilling Ghana panel. They had a bias for like science, technology, security, you know, like applicants. And he was like, yes. And he made a good case for them about, them picking a creative arts like him in particular, because he brought evidence to show them that the last time that they had picked a Chilean scholar who was from creative arts and kasa, like theater arts, was back in the early 2000s. So he had done a very good work to convince them. So yeah, something like that, yeah. There are other scholarships as well, but I've honestly not done much work on that because usually the people that come to me are with the technical backgrounds, but they do exist. They do exist. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, just need to look. I hope I've given you a bit of direction with that. Chevening, UCL, and then University of London Arts. Yeah,
Yeah, and also you can also check Erasmus Mundus. They have a lot of arts
yeah.
scholarships under the Erasmus Mundus program too.
Mhm.
I
Europe is
think
the
that
place you want to be for arts, class. Yeah.
uh, I think our time is like far spent. Like we have 15, almost 15 minutes into the allocated time. So
Okay.
what we'll do is you can send us the questions through our email at dearyounggrad@gmail.com.